It's hard when you get to that stage as a mother, to the point where you feel like maybe it's best if I leave my kids so that I don't have to interact with their father because I'm sick of how he keeps on treating me. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's your girl Faith Martini, and today's video is going to be a little different. I didn't even put makeup on. I just wanted to get this video done because I'm going to be really transparent, really vulnerable on this video. I want to share with you some things that have been going on in my life this last year and a half, I would say. I do want to put a caveat out there that, I'm going to share some really vulnerable, transparent things. So if you don't agree with anything that I have to say, just click off right now, or click off whenever you hear what you don't agree with, but don't leave me a comment about that, because I really don't care about those comments right now, to be honest. I don't care about those comments. But I did want to do this video because today, this month is almost the end of May, but May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And, there was a time a few months ago when I actually shared with you guys my struggles with depression. And, I told you guys about what was going on in my life at that time. And since then, I've gotten a lot of comments from you asking me how my depression is going. How are you doing, Faith? Are you doing okay? And to be honest with you, I have not been doing okay. I have been struggling a lot. You've actually noticed on my channel that I've been inconsistent, so inconsistent. I have posted videos and then just gone off for like a month or 2 months and just been completely silent, not really told you about what's going on. And to be honest, during those times, I didn't really know how to articulate what was going on in my life. I didn't know how to articulate my emotions or what I was experiencing at that time. But I feel like I'm in a better place right now where I can actually speak about it. And I do want to share with you because I hope that this will actually help somebody who is in the same situation that I have been in, that they'll be able to know that they can also make it, since I was able to, overcome some of the challenges that I've been facing. So as I said, I have been struggling a lot this last year, and mostly the last few months have been honestly some of the most darkest months of my life, to tell you the truth. And it's been really a lot of struggle for me, mostly struggling with depression, anxiety, worry, fear, feelings of condemnation, guilt, and just regret about my past decisions and everything that was going on. And to be honest, this is, when I became a single mom, I knew that single motherhood was going to be challenging. Like, I didn't come into this thinking that it was going to be a walk in the park. I knew that raising twins is hard. Raising twins by yourself is even harder. So I knew that. But I think what I really did not anticipate was that my co-parenting relationship was going to be as toxic, as unhealthy, as stressful as it has been this last year and a half. I just did not anticipate that, because I thought coming into this that my ex and I had even though I didn't want to be with him, we weren't really planning on being together. I thought that we would have the best interest of our children at heart. And so that would kind of guide the relationship, but it hasn't really been like that. So I'm going to start from the beginning. I actually posted a video. Was it like a year ago or something, sharing with you how I found out I was pregnant. And when I posted that video, there was a lot of things that I kind of did not share, because to be honest with you, I was ashamed of some of the details about my past. I was ashamed about some of the things that had happened and whatnot. So I kind of I didn't share those things, but I'm going to share that in this video. And I want to tell you that the reason why I'm sharing with you this information, the reason why I am being vulnerable in this video is because I have reached a stage in my life where I am not interested in trying to please people anymore. I am mostly focused right now. I want to please God with my life, with the way that I do things, and that is what guides me now. In the past, I used to worry about what people would think of me, what they would say. Oh, you can't share that, you can't say that because you don't know what somebody is going to say about you. And that is not the way that I want to live my life. And that's why I'm usually pretty vulnerable on my channel. I share with you the real mess and all of that because I am not living my life based on what somebody else thinks of me. If I was to die tomorrow, I wouldn't care that somebody thought I was messy or that I was, putting my drama on the internet. I wouldn't care about those things. My biggest concern would be, did I honor God with my life, and did I share my experiences? I believe that our experiences are meant to be shared. They're not just meant to be kept to ourselves. When you go through something, you have to, it doesn't benefit you to keep it to yourself. It's more beneficial when you can tell somebody else, this is what I went through and this is how I overcame. And that's what I hope to do in this video. But yeah, just a little caveat there. So everything started for me back in 2019. So if you don't know, I am a single mom to twin boys. I have two boys that are currently 2 years old. They were born in March of 2019. So, me and my ex, we kind of were in good times during those times, but things kind of started going off the rail, I would say, back in November of that year, October, November, some time around there. During that time, I was actually working with, I was actually working at Open Table. I was working at Open Table, but I couldn't keep my job there because I couldn't keep my job because I was always late. I was always late because I was always in the morning. I would have to breastfeed my children. And it was just it was challenging for me to get to work on time. It was challenging for me to be focused when I was at work because I was always thinking about my kids. So I ended up actually leaving that job at that time, and I decided that I was going to work from home. So I found a job that I could work from home, and that job, allowed me to work and take care of my kids. During this time, my ex was in and out. He was seeing the kids sometimes, and I was with them full time. So I decided to work from home so that I can be able to be with them, because when I was working at Open Table, I had to configure my schedule in such a way that my mom could watch my kids when I was at work. So that way I didn't have to get babysitting. So I figured if I worked from home, then I wouldn't have to worry about that. So I took a job. It was a very low paying job. I was making $13 an hour, but I liked it because it allowed me to be at home with my kids. I didn't have to worry about getting to work at a certain time. So I would be at home with my kids, and I would, work. And of course, $13 an hour was not enough for me to pay my bills. At that time, I was relying on my ex because, he said that he would help me pay half on my rent and whatnot. That's the kind of child support arrangement that we had at that time. But our arrangements just weren't working. It seemed like he wasn't following through with what he said, so he kept changing it. So one time he said, oh, instead of me helping you pay half the rent, I'll pay medical bills. So I was like, okay, you can pay medical bills. But then he decided he refused to do that again. So I just kept feeling like we're just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I was working a 9 to 5, working from home, taking care of my kids. That wasn't making enough money. So I decided I'm going to get another job. So I started working at Amazon at that time, around November of that year. I started working at Amazon, and I would work from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I would work from home, and then from Friday to Sunday, I would work at Amazon. So my mom would come to my house on Friday night, and she would release me. So she would come here, she would help me with giving the kids a bath and putting them down for bed, and then I would go to work. So I would be going to work from 9 p.m. till 5 a.m. the next day. So, and then the next day I would come back home and she would leave, and then I would sleep for a few hours until like 9 a.m. And then, I would wake up with my kids, take care of them during the day. And then at night, my mom would come back again. She would sleep with my kids. And then, so that was kind of a pattern that we had developed. And I'm not going to lie to you that I am so grateful to my mom for all the things that she's done for me, because I don't know that I could survive this motherhood thing without my mom. But so we started doing that, and it was working. I was making some more money, but I still needed some support for my ex, and during this time he wasn't actually helping me. And I would talk to him about it, and I would ask him to help me, but every time that I tried to like bring up the issue, it would seem like I was nagging him. So he would make it seem like I was nagging him. So I decided that I'm gonna go apply for food stamps, because I just felt like, I'm struggling a lot. Maybe if I applied for food stamps, I would get some money outside that would kind of help, with the costs. And I'm not gonna lie to you, when I reached the stage that I had to go apply for food stamps, that was one of the lowest stages that I've ever been for me. And I'm not knocking you if you get food stamps. That's that's your choice. And but I know for me that I never really wanted to be under government assistance. That's just not something that I wanted for my life or for my kids. But when it got to that stage, I'm not gonna lie to you that was really, like, it was really tough for me. Like, I couldn't understand why my ex wasn't really doing his part, why he wasn't really helping me in taking care of our kids, to the point where I actually have to go to the government for help in doing so. And, I told him about this. So when I actually went to apply, I texted him and I told him, I've had to apply for food stamps now. And when I sent him that message, what he told me was, oh, you don't have enough food? 2 jobs isn't enough? You have to reduce your expenses, buddy. And I still remember those words, because they were so, I just couldn't believe that he was saying that to me. And I got so upset. I was so upset because I couldn't understand, how can you let this go on, and then instead of like helping me, you choose to degrade me, to tell me stuff like this. Okay. So I decided that I'm just gonna apply for I'm gonna put him on child support, because I didn't want to do the back and forth, and it seemed like he didn't understand that I needed his help. So I ended up going and applied for child support. And honestly, after I applied for child support, that's actually when things went downhill in our relationship. So from then on, my ex would, every time we had an argument, he would always call me names, telling me that I'm a low life. I'll always be a low life. Oh, don't let YouTube fool you. He would call me ghetto fabulous. I didn't even know what that word meant until I had to Google it. He would tell me that the government, no white person is going to make him do something that he doesn't want to do. He's going to go back to Africa. If this continues, he's going to leave my kids. He has other kids. He had other kids, 3 other kids before before our kids. He would say that, I don't have to, I'll let you have those kids because I already have other children. And I think during those times, I just lost all the respect that I had for him. It's hard for me to respect a man who doesn't have enough self-respect to take responsibility for his action. It was hard for me to respect a man who, instead of taking care of his kids, decided to act like the victim. And especially the fact that he would go around and tell other people to come and tell me that I need to take him off child support. I need to take him off child support. So instead of taking care of our kids, he would go around and make himself look like a victim to other people and make it seem like I'm the bad guy. And I think that's, honestly, I can't respect a man who acts like that. To me, a man is supposed to be one that provides for his family, one that is there for his family. Like, you don't need somebody else to tell you, hey, can you do this, for you to actually do it if you're a real man. To me, I realized that he was just a boy in a man's body. And I'm sorry, that's just, that's just how it is, because even the Bible commands men to to be the head of the household. And this was just, I just couldn't understand, why am I struggling? Why do I have to struggle to take care of your kids? These are not kids that I am putting on you. These are the kids that you put inside me. Why would I have to struggle to do that? And you call yourself a man, and you're acting like, instead of like being the head of, and we're not together, but instead of being the head of your kids, you are acting like you want to be the victim so that everybody else can feel sorry for you. But no, I lost all the respect that I had for him. And so he would tell me that we're never going to have the kind of relationship that you want to have if you keep putting me on child support. And I mean, to me, I just realized, you know what? I mean, so should I risk struggling to take care of our kids just so I can have a good relationship with this man? How am I supposed to have a good relationship with you if you can't even respect me and your kids enough to take care of them without being told? So I chose, I'm going to just do what I need to do for my kids. And yeah, it's just been awful since then. I think what he's doing right now is that he wants to do all that he can to make my life miserable so that I can take him off child support. And I just don't understand it. Like, I think I've spent so much time trying to understand why he's acting like this. Because I don't get it. I don't get it. The money that he's sending, I'm not going around buying wigs with. This is a crochet. It's crocheted hair. I don't get my nails done. I don't go to clubs. I'm not buying clothes for myself. Like, usually when you hear about, dads that are upset about paying child support, they're upset because the other parent is like using the money to do things that they're not supposed to be doing. But I'm over here taking care of our kids. Like, I buy food for our kids. I am taking care of them. So I don't understand why it's so hard for him to see that I'm actually taking care of our kids. It's not going to me. He refused to pay child support to the point where he was $6,000 behind on child support. And then they found out where he worked, and they started garnishing his wages. They suspended his driver's license and his passport and all that, so he couldn't drive. So I had to do the pick up and drop off for our children with him because he couldn't drive, and he couldn't reinstate his license until he was able to drive. During the pandemic, he wasn't seeing our children as much. At some point he had gone like months, maybe 2 or 3 months without seeing our kids. And there was a shortage of diapers in stores and whatnot, and I know that he had diapers because he hadn't seen them, and so he wasn't using those diapers. So I would text him and ask him to help me with those diapers because I couldn't find many at the store, and he would just ignore me. I would always text him and ask him, why aren't you, being involved? Like, just trying to understand why he was acting the way that he was acting. And I think this has been one of the things that has just caused me a lot of stress, is that I have a tendency to overthink things. I have a tendency to sit down and just think, and I could think for hours. It's been hard for me not to do that, especially in this situation, especially when we have had to go to court, because I've had to just try to do my research to find out exactly what's the best way to actually, convey to the judge my point of view. And all of those moments have just made it hard for me to get in the public and to actually post content for you guys, because it's hard for me to motivate other people when I don't feel motivated. And I've just not felt motivated during those times. And so things just continue to get really worse, to the point where he completely refused to buy cribs for our kids, and he wanted them to spend overnights with them. That is something that I couldn't even agree with, because how can you want to be with our kids overnight but you don't want to buy cribs for them? He wanted them to share bunk beds with his other children, and I just didn't understand that. But we went through mediation and I was okay. I allowed him to have one overnight. But after a few months of him having them one overnight, he decided to change it. So he was like deciding, so he was supposed to have the kids from Friday till Saturday overnight. And then I would pick them up on Saturday evening and bring them back to him on Sunday. But he decided to change it and have the kids from Friday all the way till Sunday, which was not what our parenting plan says. So he would just make those radical changes. And to me, I'm just like, wow, are you serious? Like, he refused, like, he would just completely refuse to follow the parenting plan. And I just had to go with it. I wouldn't stop him. I couldn't stop him. And then after that, when the children turned 2, he was supposed to have them. That's when he was supposed to have them twice a night. But then he decided, because the way our parenting plan was set up, he was supposed to have the children from Friday to Sunday when they turned 2. And then on the last week of the month, he would have them from Monday till Wednesday. So what he decided to do is that he would, on the last week, so on the third week of the month, instead of only having them from Friday to Sunday, he completely changed it and decided that he was going to have the kids from Friday till Wednesday. And that was completely, like, that to me was, it was really hard for me to accept that change. And I actually told him, like, I was like, you should let me at least FaceTime our kids during this time. And he would say, no, it's only once a month. You'll be okay. So I would have to go, like, this was actually said it on February of this year is when he said it to do that. So I would be going from like Friday till Wednesday without seeing the kids, without even hearing their voice, without knowing how they were. And that really, really, like it was a lot for me. It really sent me to a very dark place where I would really struggle with worry, depression, because I couldn't understand how this man would be so hateful towards me but be loving towards our kids. How is that possible? So I would be really worried about our kids, especially since before then our kids had been coming back home with injuries, coming back home with rashes all over their bodies, especially Milo. Milo would come back, he would have rashes all over his body. There was the same when I picked him up and he had a huge wound on his head. And other times I pick them up and they have injuries. And injuries are normal, they do happen. But when it's like consistently happening every single time that they're with him, they have some sort of injury, they have some sort of thing that is going on with them, like that was really concerning to me. And even worse is when I would try to talk to him about it, when I would ask him, hey, I noticed Milo had this, injury here, what happened? He would just ignore me. And I just, that to me, I couldn't understand how you can just ignore the other parent when they are genuinely concerned for your children. And that really messed with my mind a lot. It really messed with my mind. And so when he decided that he was going to have them from Friday to Wednesday, which was not what our parenting plan said, and I couldn't talk to them, I couldn't see them, it was so hard for me to get anything done. Gosh, being separated from your kids, especially when it's not something that you agreed to, it's so hard. It's so difficult. When you have a toxic relationship like this where we're not even communicating, we don't talk to each other, he refuses to communicate with me about anything, and then suddenly you decide that you just want to keep the kids, you don't want to tell me anything about them, they've been getting into injuries. If they were to get into an injury, he would not tell me about it because he doesn't tell me about anything that happens. That really messed with me. And so that's why you haven't really seen a lot of content in the last few months, because since February, like, it's just been so hard for me. When the kids are away, that's usually when I struggle the most with depression, with worry, with guilt, with there's just anxiety. And it's been, for me, the biggest struggle for me has been just feeling guilty that I allowed my kids to be born in this situation, feeling condemned about my past, mistakes, the fact that I, decided to be involved in this situation with this man. I allowed him to come into my life. I allowed him to have access to me, and he should have never had access to me. I gave him it's just the most intimate part of me. And you know, that's just something that I should have never done, and I've just been struggling with that constant regret from that. And then on top of that, the way that he's been treating me just has made me feel even worse. You know, like, I mean, when you're already a single mother, especially when this is not how you planned your life to be, there's always that feeling of being rejected, you know, or why wasn't I good enough for you to be there for our kids the way that I thought you would be. So then that, on top of being treated like I'm nothing just because I decided to put him on child support, has really affected me a lot. And there was a time when I went to pick up our children, and when I went to pick up our children, he had some other woman bring the children to me. I didn't even know who this person was. I've never met the person. So he comes out with the woman, and they're bringing the kids to me, and I tell him, I don't appreciate you having somebody else bring the kids to me. And you know, he doesn't make a response to what I said. Instead, a few days later, he texts me and tells me that from now on, you're going to have to park in the back of my house to pick up our children. You can't be disrespectful to somebody and not expect consequences or something like that. And I was so shocked when he told me that. So you're going to force me to park in the back of your house to pick up our kids just because you got upset by what I said and didn't even bother to tell me that something that I said upset you. You just reacted. And I told my mom about this because we ended up having an argument, and then he called me a lowlife again during that argument. And it just was so intense. He actually had the children when we were arguing. So I was so worried about the kids. Like, are they going to be okay? Would he take his anger out on them and try to hurt them because he's upset with me? So that day I tell my mom, like, Mom, he told me that he wants me to park in the back of his house to pick up our children. And I really kind of fought him on this, but my mom was like, Faith, just do it. Just do it. So I started parking in the back of his house, and I'm not going to lie to you, that is humiliating. It was humiliating for me to be forced to park in the back of somebody's house just so I can pick up the kids. And it's not because, oh, this is the best decision for our children. It was because he got upset by what I said and wanted to punish me. Now, my ex is a little older than me. And I think during this thing, he's been acting like he's my parent instead of treating me like an equal to him in raising our children. So this was just one of those instances where instead of actually communicating and telling me what happened, he would just try to punish me like he is my dad. And it's so disgusting. But I started to park in the back from then on, and I didn't like it. I didn't appreciate that I had to park in the back of somebody's house just to pick up the kids because he was upset. But I still did it. So that, on top of everything else, made me feel so much guilt and just dislike for this man. There were so many times when I just wished I could just get my kids and go away because I didn't want to be around him. I didn't want to interact with him. I didn't want to know that he existed. I just want to go away. I want to take my kids and go. And there were other times when I just felt like, you know what, maybe you can just have the kids and I can just go because I don't want to have anything to do with this man. And you know, it's hard when you get to that stage as a mother, to the point where you feel like maybe it's best if I leave my kids so that I don't have to interact with their father because I'm sick of how he keeps on treating me. And I got to that stage and it was like, wow. I didn't realize before that this was abuse. Before, I just thought he's just a mean guy. Maybe he'll change. Maybe if I continue to do the things that he wants me to do, maybe he'll see that I'm trying. Maybe he'll see that I have the best interest of our children at heart and he will actually change. But none of those happened. The more that I complied to what he wanted me to do, the worse that things get. Because then he feels like he has some sort of power over me where he can make me do things that he wants me to do and I can't say anything about it. And it's all because I put him on child support. And here's the thing, whatever you think about child support, child support is something that is paid by the father or the mother to the parent who has the children the most, because that parent incurs most of the responsibility for that child. The parent incurs most of the expenses for that child. I buy all of the clothes for our children. I buy their food and everything. When they're with him, I guess he buys clothes and food for them. However, he doesn't, the clothes that he buys the kids, he doesn't let them leave his house with those clothes. So when I drop off our children, the same clothes that I drop them off in are the same clothes that they come back in. And you might think, well, duh. But it's like, can you imagine that? He has to wash the clothes just so they can wear it, just so they don't have to wear the clothes that he bought them to come back to me. And I realized that because even when they were with him for a day, he would do the same thing. He would, I don't know if they would stay naked while he was washing the clothes, but he would take the clothes off that they came on in with, and he would put them back on when I picked them up. And I couldn't understand it. But I realized that it's because he doesn't want them to come home with the same clothes. This man has relegated himself to be a weekend dad. Like that's what he does. He's available for our children when they're with him. When they're with him on the weekends, that's when he's a father. When they're not with him, he's not a father. He's not there. He never calls to check on them. When they're sick, he never tries to be there for any single situation. He's actually only been to one appointment for them. But of course, to other people, he'll make it seem like he's the victim, that he's the one that is being wronged. And after doing research, like, I realized this is all narcissistic behavior. But I didn't understand this before, and I didn't understand that some of the things that he was doing to me are some of the tricks that narcissists do to their victims to be able to have some sort of control over them. I'm kind of all over the place here with this video. There's a lot that has been on my heart with this, and I think I've really prayed that God helps me to speak about this, not in a bitter type of way, because I'm not bitter towards him, but to speak on it in a truthful way. Like, what I'm telling you is not something that I just made up. It's things that actually happened, and it's hard for me to even say, because it's like, it's embarrassing that I went through this, and I've really struggled with that, because there's a part of me that it's like been like, Faith, like, that there's a part of me that's really struggled with guilt, with the fact that, if I had made better choices, I wouldn't be in this situation. So every single time that my kids are away with him, it's hard for me not to replay images and messages in my head that say, well, you did this to yourself. Nobody forced you to sleep with this man. Nobody forced you to be with him. So why are you complaining now that he's acting like this? Why are you complaining now that he's acted like this to you? You ignored so many red flags. Why would you now sit here and act like you're the victim? You're not. These are the things that I've been telling myself, because and they're all lies from the enemy, because he wants me to stay in that stage of regret and feeling condemned for my past, for the mistakes that I made in the past. Because when I do, I don't get anything done. Like, when my kids are gone, even though I have a million things to do, it's hard for me to get anything done, because I'm thinking about them. I'm worried about them. Are they okay? Are they injured? If they were injured, would I know? Or would it be like when it's like too late for me to find out? And it's been so hard for me to focus on anything else, and it's just been easier to just binge watch things or do anything else that would get my mind off of thinking about them than actually working or getting things done. And then when they're here, my thought process is, I just want to be with them. I want to enjoy their time while they're with me, so that when they have to go away, I won't miss them as much. But it doesn't help. Because I still miss them when they go away. I still think about them when they go away, because that feeling doesn't go away when you're a mother. You still think about your child even when they're not there with you, no matter how much time you've spent with them. I didn't become a mother so that I can be separated from my kids, for 5 days without any contact with them. So after So after so at some point, so actually I ended up having to file another motion of contempt because of the fact that he was keeping the kids a little bit longer than he was supposed to, so he was taking time away from me. So we and then the other reason why I decided to file was because he so there have been numerous times when he's refused me from picking up the kids. So the time when I told you that he forced me to park in the back of his house, that same day, like, he refused to release the kids to me unless I was there at 8 p.m. So I had to, our pickup time usually was 7 p.m., but he completely refused to release the kids to me and told me that I would have to pick them up at 8 p.m. and I would have to pick them up at the back because if I wasn't there at 8 p.m. and in the back, he wouldn't release the kids to me. So what did I have to do? Pick them up in the back at 8 p.m. And numerous other times he would, so even after that, he would say, he would refuse to return the children to me after his parenting time was over because, and would act like he doesn't have a car. Of course, he has a car. Numerous times I have allowed him to use my car seats because he doesn't want to buy car seats. He refused to buy car seats. So numerous times I allowed him to use my car seats so that he can drop the kids back to me. And I stopped doing that because I realized that he wasn't really doing his part. And so I would, so I know that he has a car, but he would refuse to return the children after his parenting time is over. He would tell me that if you don't pick up the children, I'm okay keeping them longer. So guess what I had to do? I had to go and pick up my children. And that's okay with me. I don't mind doing that. But one day actually, I had to go pick up the kids. And this was like a Sunday after, like, we had had a blizzard here in Colorado. And blizzards are not new in Colorado. We get snow all the time. But that Sunday was his parenting time was over at 7 p.m. So I decided, I'm gonna go and pick up the kids. So I, got into the car and I was on my way. Now I felt comfortable driving and picking up the kids because I knew that my car could handle it. So I texted him and I was like, I'm actually on my way to come pick up the kids. I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I'm actually going to come and pick them up because we never had any sort of discussion about him keeping them longer. So I text him and I tell him that. And while I'm on my way, he tries to call me and tell me, no, don't come and pick them up because of the weather. Now I understand his concern because, if he had told me that he doesn't feel comfortable, with me picking them up like 2 or 3 hours before then, I would have been like, okay, that's cool. But we never had any sort of discussion. So I just assumed that everything was going to be like as usual. So I'm on my way and I go there and I get there and I tell him I'm here, bring the kids to me so I can go. And he completely refuses to return the kids to me. He completely refuses. So I'm outside his house and all he has to do is just get the kids, come outside, bring them to my car. I would take them and go home. But he refused completely to release the kids to me. Told me that I was putting them in danger by driving them in the snow. Now, mind you, we live in Colorado. It can snow today and then tomorrow it's sunny. It's not new to have snow. Blizzards are not different. And during that time, we actually, plow trucks were actually busy on the roads, clearing the roads. So I knew that I could actually take care of my kids. I knew that I could actually drive them home safely. But he completely refused to release them to me. Told me that I was putting them in danger, and that it was his right as a parent to refuse me from getting the kids. Oh. Told me that I need to go home and come back again the next day to pick them up. Now, mind you, it's his responsibility to return the children when his parenting time is over. So I didn't even have to go and pick them up. I was doing it because I care about my kids and I don't want them to have to go through an inconvenience just so they can get back home to me. So then he forces me to leave his place. Of course, I got back home safely. And if I had had my children, I would have gotten back home safely. So I get back home and I'm just like, wow. So then he texts me the next day and he's like, what time are you coming to pick them up? So I was really upset with him. I let him have the kids that day. And then I go to pick them up that night. And I am like in the front of his house and I'm waiting for him, and I can see him putting the kids' clothes on, and I tell him, I'm in the front of your house, please bring the kids to me. And he refuses, completely refuses to bring the kids to me in the front of the house. Tells me that I have to go park in the back of his house to pick them up. And that to me was like one of those, it was the last time that it was when I decided that I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm not going to let you continue to treat me like this. So I got out of my car and I went to the back of his house and I got the kids from him and I went back to the front, and I saw him looking at me from that window like a fool, looking at me, the mother of his children, walking through the snow just to get my kids to the car. I texted him that day and I told him, your mother failed you when she raised you to be the kind of man that you are. Like, our kids deserve so much better than this. So we went to court again in April of this year. So we went to court in April. Well, I wanted us to go to court, but we ended up going to mediation. And during mediation, usually with mediation, like, I always think, oh, maybe we can actually come to an agreement. Maybe he'll actually see that we need to agree for the sake of our children. But every single time that we've gone to mediation, he's made up lies about things, made himself look like a victim. And I've felt like I've kind of had to agree to some of the things that the mediators proposed, because I didn't want to seem like I was the difficult parent, even when you're the victim in a certain situation like this, if you kind of disagree, you might come across as the parent who's difficult, which is just bizarre to me. But I ended up agreeing. So the mediators were like, so he actually, during mediation, he actually said, and he told the mediators that he doesn't have a car. Oh my gosh. He doesn't have a car. His neighbor lets him drive his car. So he doesn't have a car. He doesn't have a driver's license because his license was suspended for not paying child support. Now, he doesn't have child support with me. He has child support. So because his driver's license was suspended, he's decided that he won't get a new driver's license. He won't reinstate his driver's license. So, and I know that he's lying because I know he has a driver's license. Now he's completely refused to get a car, completely refused to get a driver's license. He doesn't want to buy car seats for our kids. So he says that he's going to have to use public transportation to take our kids to other places. Now, mind you, I know that he has driven our kids to other places without a car seat, because there was a time when he texted me and told me it was in another area where he wouldn't have gone to that place if he didn't have a car seat. So he's endangered our kids before, just so he can get from one place to another. And I know that he probably is doing the same thing now, but because he wasn't caught in the act, there's no way for me to actually use that against him. So I literally have to wait until something bad happens to our kids for me to be able to say, look, judge, he shouldn't have, he should be forced to get a car and car seats and whatnot. So he completely refused to do that. So the mediators were like, okay, so to avoid you having to, make constant trips back and forth, because the parenting plan before was that he would have them Friday till Sunday. So I was the one that was dropping off and picking up Friday to Sunday. So they were like, maybe we should just allow him to have more time, because he says that he wants to have more time with the kids. Of course, this man wants to have more time with the kids because he doesn't want to pay child support. So we decided to increase his parenting time. So now he has the kids twice a month for 5 to 6 days on each week. And I think that, and I was, when we finished talking about that, oh my gosh, it really, like, I was devastated. I'm not gonna lie, I was devastated that I would have to be away from my kids for 5 to 6 days. And then, during the mediation, I actually asked the judge if I could be able to, not the judge, the mediators, I actually requested that I want to be able to FaceTime the kids. And this man said that He doesn't want the kids to use electronics. So I shouldn't have the right to FaceTime the kids because that is his time with the kids. So when it's his time, I shouldn't be able to talk to them. Now, whew, I mean, any good father, any good parent wants the children to be happy. They realize that children need both parents. Children need both the mother and the father. Children will miss both the mother and the father if they were separated from them. My kids have always been with me, so of course, going 5 to 6 days without talking to me or seeing me would be a drastic change because I am the majority co-parent, the majority parent for them. They spend more time with me, so of course. I just couldn't understand that because I allowed him to have the time that he wants, but still he doesn't want me to have any time with our kids, like when they're with him. And I have never stopped him from calling our kids when they're with me. He can always call, but he never takes advantage of that because he's the one that wants the kids to be his kids when they're with him and my kids when they're with me. But the mediators were like, you know what, it's for the safety of the kids, it's best if they have contact with their other parents. So they added that stipulation in there. And then, so we finished the mediation, and I was just devastated because I knew I would have to be away from my kids even longer than I had been. And that day was just really dark for me. I just felt like nothing else was worth it. Like, what's the point? What's the point of me having to leave or do this if if this is what I'm gonna have to keep going through, and I gotta go through this for 16 years, bro. Like, I gotta keep dealing with this man for 16 years. So that's where all of the guilt and the shame and the remorse and the worry about my past came back in again. Like, you chose this, you did this, why did you should have had abortion. My ex actually told me that I decided to be a single mom because I refused to have an abortion. Like, maybe, and that's the worst thing that you can even think. But but it was hard for me. Like, gosh, like, it was hard for me. And I know it might seem kind of selfish, and it is. There's a part of me, like, I want to be with my kids all the time. I don't want them to be separated from me. I don't want to be away from them. But I also want the best for them. I know that they need their father in their life, but there's also a part of me that's like, I don't want this man to teach them the things the way that I don't want this man to teach them how to be a man, because he doesn't even know how to be a man with the way that he's acting towards me. Why would I want my kids to learn how to be men, how to treat women from their father who doesn't even know how to do the same thing? But the best thing for me, and then even more, so after the mediation, after everything settled down, then we decided that I'm going to be doing the drop-offs and pickups still, because he doesn't want to get a car, doesn't want to get car seats to be able to drive our kids around. And that really devastated me. So, like, you're gonna have our kids walking, taking public transportation to go to any place, just because you don't want to get a car, you don't want to get car seats. Like, I just couldn't understand that. But fast forward, so the plan actually started. So I went to actually drop off the kids to him. And so this time I decided, you know what, I'm not going to allow this man to control me anymore. I'm not parking in the back anymore. I'm actually going to park in the front. If you don't like it, you deal with it, So I texted him and I told him, I'm parking in the front of your house to drop off our children from now on. So yeah, I was like, you know what, I'm not parking in the back of your house anymore. I'm going to park in the front to drop off our children, because I thought maybe he'll see that we're doing a new start. This is a new chapter, a new start. Maybe we can put the past in the past. So I was like, okay, I'm going to park in the front from now on. So and if you keep insisting that I park in the back of your house, then we're gonna have to go and start parking at a police station, like start doing the exchanges at a police station. And so I go and I park in the front, and lo and behold, when I go to the front of his house to drop off the children, another woman is coming out of his house, and I assume that this is the dad, baby mama, because he has 6 children in total. I found out during our child support hearing that he had a 3-month old or 5-month old. So basically, while I was struggling to take care of our children, this man was busy with another woman, making more babies, and now he has a 5-month old. And he told me he wanted me to have an abortion. So I could have had an abortion to kill my children for a man who would still go on to have more kids. That really, So I am at the front and I see this woman, and she is bringing her kid. She's going to her car. She's leaving his house to go to her car. So this was 9 a.m. And during mediation, he mentioned that he has that small child from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So, oh my gosh. So I'm dropping off our kids, and he has this woman. This woman is leaving his house, and she goes into her car and she stays there. So I'm like, wow. So you've been allowing this other woman to park in the front of your house to drop off and pick up her children or her child. She even gets to go into their house, but you force me to park in the back of your house. Literally refuse to release the kids to me unless I'm in the front of the house, unless I'm in the back. This man, I think there's something with him where he wants to humiliate me. Like, he wants me to just feel the pain that he feels so much that he's going through all of this lens to make me feel bad, to make me feel like I'm nothing. And when I saw this woman going, and then afterwards, I texted him and I was like, I don't really care about your other families. I don't care about your other situation, whatever it is that you have going through. I don't care about it. I just care about our kids. That's all that matters to me. And then he was like, we'll just start parking in a different location. So he decided that I would park at a store that was like walking distance from his house. So basically, as long as I am not in the front of his house, oh my gosh, he's okay walking with our kids to come and bring them to me to another location, just so he can make sure that I am not in the front of his house. And it's all to make me feel like I'm nothing. And my gosh, I thank God that my value as a person, as a woman, is not determined by a bitter man who refuses to grow up. My value comes from God and what he says about me. He paid such a hefty price for me to worry about what some man thinks of me. And even though there's a part of me that feels so upset, and I've really allowed this man to have a lot of control over my life this last few months and this last year and a half, because I've allowed myself to be depressed, to be sad, to be worried, to feel anxious about interacting with him. I've given him so much power over my life, but I decided this time that I'm not going to do that anymore. And one thing that I really realized is I thank God that he is this bad. I thank God that this man is this bad, because if he had been a respectable gentleman, if he had been a respectable man who was there for his kids, providing for his kids, supportive of me, in taking care of his kids, you would have never heard of me. You would have never heard of my name. I would have never started Single Mommy Winning, which is a platform where I used to encourage single mothers who have gone through or are going through the same thing that I'm going through. I would have never started DariLambo.com, which is a clothing business that I started out of this mess. I would have never started Defend Life Co., which is a pro-life organization, well, not organization, clothing brand that I used to promote to help women who are thinking about abortion, because I was in a position where this man wanted me to have an abortion so that I could make him happy. If it wasn't for this man, who and there have been so many times during this situation where I have asked God, like, God, I have learned my lesson. I have learned my lesson. I'm not going to do it again. Can this please stop being painful for me? Can he just be a nice man? Can I be happy again? And I think I had to go through all of the mess, all of the moments where I felt humiliated and I felt sad and I felt hopeless, because those moments took me back to where I needed to be. They took me back to God, my maker, my first love, my creator, my solace, my everything. Those moments where I felt like nothing are the moments where I had to go back to God and be reminded of who he says I am. So I thank this man. I thank this man for being this man, because if it wasn't for him, my goodness, I would not have inspired all of the women that I've inspired on this channel. And I wanted to share this story with you, not because I wanted to bash him or make him look bad. The truth of the matter is that this is part of my story. This is part of my past. But it tells of a different story for me. It tells of a story of someone who was like, I messed up. I messed up a lot. I should have never been with this man. I should have never allowed him into my life, into my womb. I should have never done that. I ignored so many red flags. There were so many situations where I should have said, okay, this is it. I'm not doing this anymore. But I didn't. And I allowed myself to stay in that place because of lust, because I cared more about myself and my desires than I cared about my future, than I cared about the consequences that will result from my actions. And now that I have brought children into this, it breaks my heart that I was so naive and that I was so caught up in my sin that I didn't think that they would have to be raised in a situation like this. And even though that breaks my heart and it makes me sad that I did that, I have to forgive myself for what I did. I have to forgive myself for allowing myself to be in that position, and I have to accept God's forgiveness for me, because I have repented of my sins to him and I've asked him for his forgiveness, and I trust that he has forgiven me for my past, and he continues to change me and change my heart, because there was a part of me that wanted to just hate him and just, just treat him even worse than what he's treated me. But I realize now that this man is acting like this because he is in pain, because he needs to heal from something. He needs to heal from childhood trauma, from past trauma. He needs to heal from those things. And now, instead of hating him, I want to pray for him. I want to pray that God can heal his heart. I pray that God can help him to be a better man for the sake of our kids, because I do not want my sons to grow up and think that it's okay to treat women the way that their father has treated me. That is not the way that I want my children to grow up. And so there's nothing that I'm ever going to do to him that will change his mind about me, that will change his mind about this situation and make him a better man. The only thing that could change his heart is God and him realizing the error of his ways. And unfortunately, right now he doesn't, but prayer works, and I'm continuing to pray for him. I'm continuing to pray for my kids. When they're there, I pray that God, helps them, that they have a good time when they're there. And even more, I'm praying that God helps me to be able to heal from all of this stuff that I've gone through. And I am actually starting a new journey in my life now where, I want to get to a process of healing, of, embracing the me that I am now, because I'm not the same person that I was back then. I'm not the same woman that I was when I met this man. I'm a different woman. I'm a different creation. I'm a new creation. And I'm in the process of embracing that and rejoicing and being content in my singlehood. Right now, I'm celibate. I've been celibate for quite some time, and I love this journey. I love that I don't have to worry about a man anymore, to be honest with you. God is healing me. He's healing the past wounds. And I feel a lot better now. And I think I needed to come to this place of realization to understand the past, to understand the things that I've done, the way that I've wronged God, and to accept that, He forgives me for my sins. And now that I have accepted that, I feel so much bold to stand up for the truth. This is why I'm not ashamed of my past, because it's made me who I am. It's brought me here to this place where I can talk to you and tell you, hey, wait on God. Don't rush into a relationship with a man. Don't give your pals to pigs. Don't give your pals to somebody who's not even worth it. You know your worth. Know that God gives you value. God gives you worth. It's not coming from a man. Sleeping with multiple men is not going to give you that. Having kids with a man is not going to give you that. Only God can give you worth and value. But guys, that was long. That was really long. I hope that if you're going through this situation, that you got some encouragement from this video, and I hope that, you can join me on this new journey that I'm going in. I am actually setting a separate channel for this. It's going to be called All Things Martini. I'm going to be going back to the gym, going hardcore, working out, losing this weight. Okay. I am going to be, just embracing this singlehood part of single motherhood and learning to trust God in this journey, that He has me. He's got me. No matter what happened in the past, no matter what's going to happen, God is in control of me, of my situation, and I can trust that He knows what's best. So yeah, I'm gonna leave the link to that new channel down below. If you want to subscribe, you can subscribe. And yeah, guys, from now on, I want to live in that peace that God has given me. My goal is to be disciplined on this channel, to provide you content on cleaning, motherhood, lifestyle, and whatnot. So do stay tuned for that content, and I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.